Let's take a tour of Sastasy. Sastasy is an app that's been set up to test and showcase some of the new features that we build into the Social App Studio gaming platform. As you can see, we generally have, this is the screen showing the stats for the player. You also see some of the stats for some of the other players that have been playing this game. Again, this is just a game that we use to test new features rather than a full-blown game. What we want to do here is just have a bit of a run through, first see what the user experience is, and then have a look at sort of what sits underneath. So first off, we'll just look at groups. As you can see by the menus, they're all sort of CSS, sort of flashy little menus. If I click on that, we can now see the Ajax preloader while it's sitting there showing me the various types of groups that people can join. The next thing here is we have a concept of a town centre. Again, with Social App Studio, you can configure these apps any way you like. We see here we've got a thief shop and a human vendor. If I quickly look up here, we can see that I'm actually a human and my class is actually a thief. So what Social App Studio can do is change the content and the menu options that users see based on all sorts of different options. If I jump into human vendor, for example, I can see a couple of items that people can buy if they're a human. You'll also notice down here this concept here where it's saying at level 400 you'll learn Human Vendor Creator. What that means is you can configure your Social App Studio app so that players, when they reach certain levels, can start to add content, which means that you can set up a game and just go away and leave it, and advanced players become game masters, if you like. That can sort of be very interesting to grow your apps when you don't actually have time to do anything there. We'll jump back to Town Centre again. Here's another concept. Here we've got a map shop. Concept here that you can put into Social App Studios is require players to have items to travel to different locations. Now, people can get items by completing quests, buying them. There's all sorts of ways. I mean, there's endless possibilities when you're building a gaming app with Social App Studio. If we jump onto quests here, we can see that we've got different types of quests. If we see here shadow quests because it recognises I'm a thief and says, okay, for this type of class, I'll give you those types of quests. Again, none of this is hard coded; it's all completely configurable. You can create new classes. There are no limits. Two types of quests at this point in time is really simple, click and do. So I will do that quest, and it says, okay, you've done that quest. In this particular example here, you can see that I've actually earned a item for completing that quest, and quite often that item may be a requirement to do something else down the track. Other types of quests are what we call basically quiz quests. So I'll click on Riddle of Life. It says this quest requires me to pass a test. Fair enough. Now it's asking me a riddle. So since I set this up, I know the answer. Answer the riddle, and it tells me awesome. Now, one of the awesome things with Social App Studios, you've got the option to post all sorts of things that you've done in a game, players do, onto their wall, so their friends can see it and go, hey, that looks quite cool, I want to play this game as well. So that's just the concept of that publish on the wall. So that's now on my wall and friends' homepages, etc. Moving on to stats. Again, as you can see with the Ajax preloader, it only loads the little bits that it needs, so it's fairly quick. If I have a look at my character, I can see my group, I can see my stats, I can see that I'm the head of this particular group, I can see gathering skills, trade skills, and professions. You can configure your apps so that people have gathering skills that allow them to find items that the trade skills need, and it can get sort of quite complex when some players have a certain gathering skills, but you need an item that you don't have the gathering skills for, but you can actually send items to players, so that becomes interesting. And I can think I'm a human, I can also see I'm a thief there as well. If we continue on to my inventory, which can get quite vast, we can see that I have a number of items here. I've only got a helmet at the moment equipped to my head, but for this case, we'll equip that wrap. Now I've got rings equipped, so this is completely configurable, all sorts of things. You can see here I've got knives for gathering, I've got maps for travelling. Those are my standard inventory items. I also have a concept of consumables, and these are things that I've found. Obviously, as a herbalist, I would have found these items, or a player could have given them to me. There's iron ore, there's rabbit skin that a skinner may get. There's also a concept of no trade plans at the moment. Okay, concept of trade plans is you can actually learn from a trainer plans to make items. For example, you could learn to make a sword if your trade was an armourer, but you'd require things like iron ore to make it. So that's probably the basics around inventory. You also have the concept of the races you can join, classes you can join, gathering skills you can learn, trades you can learn, and finally professions. Now, none of this is hard-coded. It's completely configurable. You can call professions whatever you want. You can have, there's no limit really there. Moving on to the concept of trainers, as you can see, we look at it. Because my trade is tailor, it'll only give me access to the tailor trainers. And here you can see items that I can create. The recipe I need, the item that will be created, and then you can see the ingredients I need. So, for example, the deluxe leather armor requires, Crates leather armor requires mountain goat skin, and it requires iron ore. Interesting enough, of course, that a gathering skill, you would need you can only ever have one gathering skill, so either you'd have to get one item and change, or you'd have to ask a friend to send you something. And I'll just quickly go back to that, because that's sort of quite cool. Just go back to my inventory. So a friend asked me for a particular item. So, since I'm kind, I will gift. Let's say he wants some iron ore, so I'll just gift that to him. I'll pick one of my friends that happen to be in the same group as me. And this tells me that iron ore has now been sent to that guy. In addition, for being so kind, I get some experience. You have the option of recruiting. This really invites friends to come and play the game. There's no incentive for inviting friends, because that is obviously a violation of Facebook. So the idea is invite friends to play and hope that they want to join your team. Then we come on to fight. Now you've got options here. You can fight other groups, or the option is to fight non-player opponents. The idea originally to put fight player opponents in was when a game first started, there generally isn't really anybody else around to fight. So we'll start off with that option. And we'll start off with, I don't know, we'll pick, we'll fight Bright. And I'm 57, he's level 19, so that was an easy win. And since I want to tell all my friends about it, that I've beaten up a level 19, I will publish that. So friends can all see that. And this works the same for fighting other players as well. If you lose energy, you need to go to the cabin, etc. This is travel. Travel's very interesting because, as you can see here, you have various items that are required to travel. So if you don't have them, you can't travel. If you don't have the required level, you can't travel. You will also randomly, depending on how the game's set up, is you can set it up so that in certain locations, randomly monsters will appear and fight you. So if you can't actually defeat those monsters, you go nowhere. So, okay. And when I travel, of course, like all through Social App Studio games, it'll tell you've got the ability to tell your friends what you're doing on your wall, so they can sort of see what's going on. So we'll publish as well. That ends just a general run through of where the sort of gameplay that you get out of a Social App Studio game. In the next video, I'm actually going to go underneath and show you what sits underneath as an admin. So if you own this game, how you configure it. Once you get the hang of it, it's actually easy. Thanks for playing.